For your cinnamon rolls, you'll need dough-colored polymer clay tools like a toothbrush, needle tool, and an aluminum foil, soft pastels with a soft bristled paintbrush, and liquid Sculpey. The first step in making your delicious American Girl cinnamon rolls is to condition your polymer clay. Just gently knead the clay in your hands until it's soft and pliable and ready to be used. Once it's been conditioned, roll out your clay into a sheet about 1/4 of an inch thick. I try to keep my sheet as rectangular as possible because I'm going to use it to cut out several cinnamon rolls. I'm going to make 4 cinnamon rolls from this batch of clay. So I'm going to cut my sheet into 2 separate rectangles and then further cut each rectangle into long right triangles, each of which will be 1 cinnamon roll. Once your clay has been divided, it'll kind of look like the crescent dough that comes from a can. You're going to take each triangle and roll it loosely up into a cinnamon roll shape, starting from the wide end of your triangle. They're not going to be perfect and they're not going to be the same, but each of your cinnamon rolls will be glorious in its own special way. Once your rolls have been shaped, just gently texture your cinnamon roll with a toothbrush to add that baked texture to the outside. Make sure to be thorough. You don't want to miss any spots, and make sure to texture the bottom of your cinnamon roll. Next, use a piece of aluminum foil rolled kind of into a pointy tip to add texture to the inside of the cinnamon swirl of your roll. This will add a lot of character to your roll, and you want to be thorough and get the entire swirl on the surface and on the bottom of your cinnamon roll. You're going to shade this with a dark pastel, which will add that cinnamon brown sugar look. Continue to texture your roll until you're satisfied, and then use soft pastel with a soft bristled paintbrush to add the bread shading to your cinnamon roll. I use yellow and orange and a light tan or light brown to add that baked bread shading. You don't want to miss any spots, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Continue shading until you're happy that your cinnamon roll looks like it's fresh out of the oven. Next, I mix a little water with some dark brown pastel and cinnamon colored pastel, and I use a smaller fine-tipped paintbrush to add that color I was speaking about earlier to the cinnamon swirl. This is going to add a lot of character to your cinnamon roll, and you want to be thorough to get the entire swirl, so it looks like there's cinnamon and brown sugar throughout the entire roll. And make sure, of course, to shade the bottom of your cinnamon roll. You're just going to continue this process with all of your other rolls until they have all been shaded. Then you're going to bake and let cool. Once your rolls have been baked, just add some translucent Sculpey to a generous amount of white pastel. You really want a lot of pastel because you want a nice thick white icing. You don't want any translucent bits because then it doesn't look like icing. And the translucent Sculpey can be misleading because it is white before it's baked. So make sure you add quite a bit of pastel. I take a toothpick, you can also use a needle tool, to apply the icing all over your cinnamon roll. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that there's a similar amount of icing on each roll so none of your dolls get jealous. I like to make it look like someone's been dripping down the side like it would in a real cinnamon roll, because you know that the icing will melt and kind of drip down. Get it into all the nooks and crannies. And then repeat with all your other cinnamon rolls. Bake again until your cinnamon roll is completely cooked through. Then you're going to let it cool, add glaze, and serve up a delicious cinnamon roll breakfast to your dolls. I bake mine at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, but depending on your clay brand, it could be a different temperature. And that's it. You're done.